The latest news and weather on the hour, every day. News Radio 910 WSBA.
It is Friday, last day of the working week here for a lot of us, and I'm Gary Sutton, and glad to be with you here on the Gary Sutton Show on a Friday morning on WSBA, and looking forward to having a great time with you this morning. Got some great guests, as we always do. So let's get started right away with Clark Hodges, financial strategist with Hodges Capital, who's been doing double duty the last couple of weeks. I feel a little guilty about it because I know he's probably worn out, but we looked back on that was the week that was in the economy with Clark Hodges, who joins us this morning here on the Gary Sutton Show. Clark, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Gary? Don't have this economist on after me. I'm going to sound really stupid.
Well, no. I know you've heard you've heard of Walter Williams, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of has. You know what you do? You have a great look at it from the business standpoint out there. I mean, you're in that. I think you have a pragmatic look at it that really helps to kind of complete the mosaic for us during the week. So I always appreciate that. So I don't want you going, oh, gee, but, you know, you really do. That's one of the reasons.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're on with us every week. You know, one of the things I'm looking at today, we're trying to get excited about the consumer, but a lot of consumers are saying, and we were talking about this with Chris Markowski yesterday, a lot of consumers are saying, you know what, inflation's looking kind of ugly to us right now. We're looking at gas, we're looking at food prices. I mean, they are going up big. We're a little concerned about the Middle Eastern situation right now with, oil prices over there and where that's going. And a lot of people are saying, you know what, for us, the recession never really ended. And then I'm looking this morning and seeing, don't get too excited about the consumers just yet. A lot of them are borrowing just to get by. And that's one of the things that's bothering me too. So as you look back on the week and you look at the way things are right now, as you kind of survey the landscape, what are you seeing?
Well, I think the consumer has some short-term headwinds, like you said, gas prices, this thing over in Iraq. It could get ugly. Who knows? I'm a big believer in the fact that the stock market reacts when there's really bad news, and it's not reacting to this in a bad way. So for some reason, the market's not saying this is that big a deal yet over in Iraq. But there's also some long-term things against the consumer that I worry about long-term, primarily student loan debt. That's going to blow up someday, and that's going to affect the consumers of the ages between, let's say, 18 and 25 now, when they're 25 to 35 type range, when they're in their consuming years, like I am right now, what's their financial situation going to be because of this student loan debt? It's really graduating college with a mortgage, basically, in a lot of cases.
So what do you do about that? I mean, and I just saw a piece today where somebody was saying, and again, this might be just, blowing smoke in the sky. They're saying, get ready, the president's going to get ready to forgive student loans. Well, obviously that's not the way to go. I mean, that's certainly going to cut into any kind of contracts you have in the country. But, I hope the president wouldn't do that. I'd say, well, he couldn't possibly do that. But anymore, I'm kind of, I don't know. But I'm just wondering your thoughts about that.
Well, really, I don't think there's much you can do about the loans that are already out there.
Right.
But the mentality can change of the kids and the parents that are coming up now through the system, and they're looking at college. They need a realistic look at college. And I contend that, and I'm just using my peers and then our kids. I've got a 16-year-old, and everybody has that college they love and they want to go to. And there's just not enough spaces to go to those colleges for everybody. And so I think one thing that needs to happen is people need to have a realistic view that it's not college, which college you go to, it's that you go to college, and it's that you get a degree, and that you can find some grants and scholarships that can help you not have an interest payment, not borrow money from the government to go to school if you just look. And it takes time to look, and it takes a lot of digging. And $500 here, $1,000 here, of all these grants and scholarships will really make a difference because you're not having to pay back that money. And so I'd say change your attitude about what you're going to make after college and be able to pay these things back, and then change your attitude as far as what college is the best for you, and then also get out there and dig and find these scholarships and grants that are out there. You just got to find them.
It's funny. We give away a scholarship in my dad's name each year. My mother and I do. And it's $2,500 scholarship. Not a bad scholarship. And we've been doing that, for like since 1991 when he died. But one of the interesting things in the interviews we did the other week, the young lady who ended up winning the scholarship came in and she said, and she was telling us about her family and they have to write a paper and indicates who they are and what they do and so forth. And one of the things that she said in her paper was, my family doesn't have a whole lot of money. It was a split family, and mom was struggling, and the girl had gone through a lot of stuff. And so we looked at all of what she had there, and she said, I'm not going to go to the colleges that I want right now. I'm going to go to a local community college because I want to get started somewhere. And I thought that was one of the best answers I've ever heard from somebody, and she's the one that ended up getting the scholarship out of the 12 people, all of whom were very good. But that struck me that this girl wanted to go somewhere. She wasn't positive how she was going to get to the goal, but she was going to start at least at some point in time.
Yeah, I like that too a lot. That's a good, solid head on her shoulders with a realistic view of what's out there. And my father does a scholarship in his little hometown where he grew up. My father has always been a big proponent, luckily for me, that grades do not make the person. Grades do not make you a success. So his scholarship, you cannot be a straight A student and win his scholarship. Mm-hmm. You have to be an average student grade-wise for the teachers to choose who's going to win his scholarship. And I like those types of niches because, quite frankly, grades, in my opinion, do not lead to success necessarily. But a good, well-rounded, solid head on your shoulders with a very good base of social understanding of how to interact with people, to me, is much more important than what I made on a paper or a Scantron test when I was in college.
I keep your dad's book on my desk here, the Horse Sense Street Smarts you sent me the one time, and I read those quotes every now and then. It kind of reminds me, I think, of where your dad might be.
Yeah, it's a good little book. It has a lot. He collected the quotes his whole career. He's 80 years old, and he's collected them forever.
When you look right now at what Janet Yellen and the Fed are doing, and they're looking like they're starting to try to scale things down here. But again, how soon do you do that in terms of getting us back to what the real economy is going to be? Because let's face it, I mean, we've had the economy propped up for a while now. Is it ready to be scaled back? What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think it's necessarily ready. I think there's signs that it could start to get ready. I would look, if I were predicting or if I had my wish, I'd look at fourth quarter this year as maybe something as to maybe you could start it then if things keep going in a decent manner the way they've been going. But at the same time, there's always going to be some industries doing well, and there's always going to be some industries not doing well. And there's so many exciting things going on in so many different industries that it really doesn't matter in my book what she does or what she says. You can't stop the energy boom that's going on right now, no matter how much you raise rates or what you say about the Fed and quantitative easing and all that. The energy boom is going on. I think Jack Welch called it a bigger deal than the Industrial Revolution. So for years to come, we're going to see a boom in energy, and she's going to have nothing to say about that, is the way I look at it.
Right. But how much can you tax the darn thing before it starts to move elsewhere? That's the question. I guess, it's in the country, so you got to go somewhere. But, I'm looking at people moving down to your state right now. I'm looking at people moving to Florida because there's no corporate income tax. I mean, people are going to go where they're paying less money out of what they're making.
Yeah, I sit on a board of directors, and we had a meeting yesterday, and the consensus was as soon as Obama's out of office, a lot of regulation is going to go away, and businesses are going to just flourish because of all the regulation that will die with him. Not overnight, obviously, but I think that's the attitude out there in corporate America is that the regulation and things like you're talking about, the tax system and the tax liability.
Right.
We've got a proactive governor here in Texas trying to get companies here. He's courting Tesla's battery factory now, and he's trying to get it in Texas. And, he's done well to bring, Toyota's moved their headquarters here, JCPenney, AT&T, just to name a few. And he's done a good job. But Texas is flourishing because of it and because of the energy boom. I heard an interesting story the other day. A lot of the problem with these energy boom spaces like in Abilene and some of the Dakotas is the infrastructure is not up and running. And there was a hotel being built, and an energy company went to the hotel and said, I'll take every room you're building, and I'll rent it out from you for 10 years.
Wow.
when you hear that these businesses see that kind of a runway, if you will, it gives me so much confidence. It doesn't matter what these guys in Washington say. If you're willing to say, we've got so much business to get out of here in this state to get oil or gas out of the ground, that we're going to take every hotel room you're building for 10 years, that excites me, you know?
Well, I'd say, yeah, I mean, the potential's laying out there. And we're talking with Clark Hodges, financial strategist with Hodges Capital, and that was the week that was in the economy. You know, one of the things that's bothering a lot of people right now, and I know we talked about this before, and some maybe didn't like your view on it, but, you know, we look at the illegal immigration right now, and one of the problems you're having is right there on your border, and I know Governor Perry was talking about that, so that's a sad thing to watch right now. And these kids are coming north, and I think we're all for orderly transition into the country, but a lot of them are coming saying, hey, you know, we're reading our papers down there, come up there because the president ain't going to send you back. And yet it looks now like the president's going to deport a lot of these kids back home.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. I mean, down here in Texas, people want to secure that border in a desperate way. I have feelings on both sides of the issue because I cannot rightly sit here and say that somebody shouldn't try to go after opportunity in their lives. And if they think opportunity is in the United States, who am I to say they can't come in? But it's a situation where a lot of Texas' economy is doing well because the migrant worker is doing jobs that a lot of people won't do. And they really built a lot of this state. And I think that's something that needs to be said to their benefit.
Would it be a better thing if we had visiting workers, or would it be a better thing? I mean, we got a lot of people who come to this country as visiting workers, go back home and that kind of thing. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
That would be another government program that probably wouldn't be very well run.
Well,
but
that's true, yeah.
The concept sounds good, where you have a 6-month or a year-long work program where you're in this country, then you have to go home for a few months or what have you. That sounds really good, but, you know,
In your case down in your neck of the woods, it seems to me that it you know, where you're at with illegal immigration, it's become so familiar. Is that a fair way of saying it? That it's almost melded into the economy. I'm not saying I like that, but I'm just saying it seems from all I'm reading that that's kind of part of the gig, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely part of our situation down here, and I don't think too many people think too much about it at all. I mean, to me, by and large, generally speaking, they're a hard-working group of people that are just trying to make ends meet and do well for their families. And, you know, a lot of the situations I've heard of and I've dealt with is they're working here and they're sending money back home.
Yeah.
And I got to respect that. But it's not I'm glad I'm not a politician because if I was on certain side of this, I know I'd be getting fried on it, but your heart and your mind are two totally different organs, and my heart and my mind conflict on it.
Well, and I think we all like that. You know, if we're going to help somebody on the street, we're not going to stop and check who they are and go through all the the litigation of, well, are you right or you left? Are you Democrat, Republican, are you gay or straight? You stop and help somebody. At the end of and I say this a lot of times, but at the end of the day, we still are trying to become a country of laws, and how we do that remains to be seen at this point. Clark,
having said that, real quick,
yeah.
Mexico is starting to create a real good middle class. And so someday the issue might not be as big as it is now, because it might be better for them to stay there, because Mexico is trying to build a middle class, and you see a lot of industry, rail industry and airline industry and stuff like that going down to Mexico because there's opportunity there.
That's interesting. Yeah, so that for another day, my friend. Hey, thanks so much, Clark, and have a great weekend. I look forward to talking to you next week, okay?
Thank you, Gary. You have a great week.
Take care. Clark Hodges with us here on the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA. When we come back, we'll check in with Dr. Nick Pandelides, who blogs under Dr. Wright, and see what's on his mind today, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on News Radio 910 WSBA.